Hello and welcome. We are with Professor Errol D'Souza of IIM. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
How do you think Indian leaders are changing themselves or molding themselves according to the VUCA environment?
So many leaders are trying their best to fathom out what's going to happen in the future and trying to steer their organization towards that future. It's not an easy task. This is not a time for leaders. When the environment changes very fast, a leader is always under tension that what he announces today will not be true tomorrow. And if the environment is changing that fast and you keep changing your strategy, then within the firm, your leadership gets questioned as well. Because people ask if you're just moving with the times or do you have something which is visionary enough to keep the organization on a given path, no matter how the environment changes.
So, what are the key qualities that a leader must have to sort of exist and steer his company towards growth in this kind of an environment?
So leaders basically, look at emerging trends. They discern patterns from those trends. And on the basis of that, they take a call on what they see the environment to look like in the future. And then they try to adapt their organizations towards that environment. To do that, a leader must be aware of what's going on, must be a very good communicator because a lot of information is soft information which comes through communication. Not only outside the organization, but also within the organization, because very often there are levels of information within an organization which if the leader listens to, will find that can be used productively for the organization's future. The leader must be very good at execution. This is an age-old saying, but in our times, it really means that the leader should be willing to put his or her reputation on the line for what they're willing to do for the organization.
So, can you give us some examples of such kind of a leader or leaders in the Indian context?
So I wouldn't like to talk about the Indian context because you single out somebody, you actually leave someone else out. Okay. But there are, if you look at within the Indian context, in the world of finance, there are people. In the world of, industry, there are people. Anand Mahindra is an example. I said I won't take names, but it is an example. So are there examples in the world of finance. So are there in regulatory bodies. I consider, for example, the current RBI governor to be one such example. Okay. There are such people who have taken a long-term view on where they see the world is going and have decided to, steer in that direction or change it as they go along.
So, what are the things that a leader must be alert or wary of given this changing environment?
So, most important in an Indian context, regulation. You have to be very alert about what regulators are thinking, why they're thinking the way they are, why sometimes it doesn't benefit an organization, but still it may be in the interest of a country. You've got to be thinking about how you influence them as well and not just be on the receiving end of those regulatory policies. You've got to be thinking of technology very seriously because you may be working on a project for your organization and sudden technological progress just makes that project redundant. So that's an issue you have to keep tabs on, and not only within the domestic environment, but internationally, because of nowadays technology just seeps across borders seamlessly. So it's very important to know what's going on in your field across your borders as well. You've got to keep tabs on governments elsewhere as well, because no longer are firms just working in a local environment. So it's a tough time, as I said, for a leader. It's not an easy job. It's therefore not a surprise that it's much rarer to find leaders nowadays than it was earlier. But that's the nature of the environment.
It's interesting that you spoke of technology because many people think technology is one of the key risk factors as far as operating in the VUCA environment is concerned. Do you see that Indian leaders or Indian companies are actually savvy enough, that they embrace technology in this kind of a manner?
So few companies do.
Okay.
Those are really the ones which are at the top. It's not yet permeated down the line in India. And that's really been one of the things which, has been a sort of a stop for India going forward. I mean, when I say technology, I also mean, the soft part of technology. A lot of technology is not codified. A lot of it is actually comes through, implicit channels of communication. So you can't put all technology into blueprints. And, a lot of the technologies that are evolving actually, are technologies which people are understanding because of this tacit knowledge that they have of working under certain systems. And developing that, keeping that going, means being very much part of the world economy. So those firms which can, go ahead on that steam, but the rest will face a problem going forward.
Okay, how would you compare Indian leaders, versus global business leaders as far as tackling VUCA is concerned?
Well, Indian leaders have lived more with VUCA than I think global business leaders have.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, yes, in some emerging markets like maybe Brazil or South Africa, they do face some of the problems that Indian leaders face. But India had this great advantage that, even though it started as a socialist economy, it was driven by the market. I mean, and governments were very sensitive to the market. So when liberalization came, I mean, it was a great time for leaders. Unfortunately, a lot of it got bogged down by regulatory oversight. But I see Indian leaders as being, amongst the best in the world, actually, currently. They have, they're poised at a position, they're in an economy which, has the potential to be in the top 2-3 economies in the world going forward. It's up to them really to take the economy there. Okay? And so they've really got, the benefit of good times ahead.
Okay, and what can India do to actually ensure that it keeps producing these kind of leaders then?
I think a lot of it is in our genes. A lot of it is actually there, in big business families. A lot of it will happen through good training which takes place in institutes of management. But it's not just, good leaders also require good professionals who back them up. And it's there that, a lot more needs to be done. I think, the leadership quality is there because there are people willing to take risks. There are people who are aware of a lot of things of the environment. But backup teams who support a leader in terms of, the qualifications that they have, in terms of the knowledge bases that they have and the skill sets, that is low in India. And that could be, one of the factors that could hold good leaders back. I mean, the good leaders are looking for people to implement, and they push them to implement, and then they get the job done because the leader can't do it on his or her own. Basically, she has the vision but doesn't have the implementation capacity. That's a challenge. And so leaders now have to even build potential amongst their teams, which is also a new challenge which they are facing. And many have, coming up to that task, but many have not yet realized that. They think that you can buy talent off the market, which is not true. You have to actually groom it within your firm.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Payal.